What's up, guys? Welcome back to the No Empty Seats podcast. It's your boy Michael Oyoung, and yeah, I just want to do a quick episode this week. Still trying to get them out weekly, um, and I kind of want to talk about overstimulation and social media. Why you should get off social media. I have been kind of bed rotting all this week, and yeah, I think it's been pretty correlated with how crappy I've been feeling with my own mental health. I have a pretty bad addiction, pretty addictive personality, and I think it's been, um, I think I definitely fall really susceptible to phone addiction and other stuff. That's why I definitely stay away from drinking and things like that. But I I don't know. It's so easy for me to be on my phone to watch like TikToks and Instagram and YouTube and just stimulate my brain for like 4 hours, 6 hours a day, and I it's kind of crazy because I know how bad it is, but I think me and all our generation still kind of succumbs to it. So I just thought it'd be a really interesting thing to talk about in hopefully the next 20-30 minutes. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. As for some small updates which have been going on, we now have no empty seats ambassadors that we're working on in groups of three for each school at Virginia Tech, Virginia, UCSB, Santa Barbara, Cornell, Binghamton, and I'm really excited. I know there have been a lot of people that have shown interest and don't know what kind of level of commitment it will be with opening up a No Empty Seats chapter. So I think it's a good idea to start 3 to 5 chapters this fall and kind of grow from there. Q in my background, the different logos. We're doing custom logos of the mascots and stuff for the T-shirts, and I think they look really really good. And I'm excited to show. Um, I'm excited to have them in print and have people kind of rep it around their different schools. Because I was talking to my friend Isabel, shout out Isabel, and she was saying how cool it would be. She's also helping design them, so thank you so much for designing them because that she's really extending my artistic ability. Um, but she and I were talking about how cool it is to see nobody seats wear or like wristbands of wear for with people that we don't really know. That could have been passed by friends or something like that, or people who've just been impacted by the message. So I'm excited for no empty seats expansion. Um, and yeah, we just ended B Lab, the entrepreneurship accelerator, the 8 weeks. We finished it by doing kind of a Shark Tank kind of thing, with the same pitch that I did last week, uh, and it was just talking about just nobody seats and like I said, the expansion and the college chapters. And yeah, just alumni were in front of me. They were kind of grilling me with questions, but it was all right. It was a good experience, and yeah, I'm really really grateful for B Lab. I guess this is the podcast where I'll be talking about um kind of wrapping it up. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. I I'm really grateful for it because yeah, I learned so much. I had such valuable experiences that I can that I, that like I would have never gotten to be able to have, such as like the Judge Frank Caprio um, collaboration. And yeah, I've just met some incredible people. I think kind of what helps push me and inspires me to keep going I guess I'm an entrepreneur. As a so-called entrepreneur is making sure I do something every week, kind of being mindful. If that makes sense, being just kind of living present and making sure I do something every day or every week to get a job done, a task done. Because I notice how quickly the weeks fly by and the months and the years. So as long as I'm being mindful and getting something to make happen, then it'll happen, I guess. And I guess just being a doer, if that makes sense. So uh I'm big on being a doer, and that's what I admire the most about B Lab. They did a really good selection of finding people that will get stuff done, because I feel like it's so easy if you're in a summer program or a class or something like that for everyone just to kind of like get super excited about stuff and then just watch the time go by. But even in the 7th and 8th week, people are just working just as hard to get the money, the grants, to find the venture, to like schedule venture appointments and pitch decks and stuff like that. And just they're just now getting their patents. So it's so cool that no one was really phased that B Lab ended this week, because everyone's like, I still, like, we were just getting started. So I don't know. It's a testament to how cool B Lab has been, um, and how well they choose the hardworking applicants. And I think it's also a testament to, I guess this is another reminder that I'm definitely in the right place, if that makes sense, because I feel the most comfortable. I feel like like B Lab wasn't like a daunting liability that I dreaded and stuff like that. Like, I got excited to show up, to talk to people, to hear about everyone's different pitches, and they're such unique ventures. So it was a really good time, and I'm really really grateful for it. Um, but yeah, the next thing that's up is the showcase, where it's gonna be kind of like a booth type thing with different videos showing of our ventures, and yeah, just kind of getting things going. I am getting a little stressed with, I have physiology and this tropical medicine class that I'm taking, and it's been a kind of a pain in the butt. And it's kind of, this is kind of like a good reminder of what school is going to be like, kind of foreshadowing, um, that I'm always going to be doing something. And I guess kind of the scarier parts of it is, I guess the kind of scarier parts of it is working so hard at something that I don't know if this is my calling. Um, But then again, I think there's a lot of things out there that's telling me it is. And also, I'm freaking 19, so I gotta calm down a little bit. Speaking of this kind of identity crisis stuff, I was on the phone with Mac a couple of minutes ago. Shout out Mac, one of my best friends. He's in Maryland right now. And Maryland for the summer. And he and I were talking about this quote by Conan O'Brien, that I think all college students should hear. And Conan O'Brien said, when I was just starting my talk show and everyone was hating me, and everything was so disorienting, I was realizing, like, if I'm completely confused, then I'm doing the right thing, because that means I'm experimenting, I'm exploring. If I know every single next step and there's no uncertainties, then I'm doing something wrong. And I don't know, that was really reassuring, because like I look up to him in so many regards. um he's incredibly intelligent and is one of the funniest people I know. So yeah, it's cool to hear him kind of say that. It's really reassuring, especially from someone I look up to so much. That we can kind of slow down a crazy child. So yeah, it was, B Lab's been fun. Trying to remind myself that a lot of good things are happening, and trying to be proud of myself, even though not really, usually, most of the time. But yeah, I guess 8 minutes in, want to talk about social media, and I guess what's been on my mind. Mm, there's just so much comparison, I think. I made a list of, back in when I did the mental health outreach class at Brown, we did a whole overstimulation social media week, and we talked about the like 6 different reasons that like social media is just so crap for you, and that don't really go talked about enough. Um, and I think I struggle with it too, because I wish like I could just get off the face of the earth with social media and just not have to worry about it. But No Empty Seats is on Instagram, and that's where the videos go, and on the internet. And I think I enjoy creating things. I enjoy kind of making stuff out of thin air, and I don't know. So yeah, it's a weird toss up, because I have to keep Instagram, obviously, and I guess I'm benefiting off of Instagram, from the people I'm reaching and the money I'm railing in. But yeah, it's just so bad for me. And we're gonna go into kind of the 6 things that really make that, I guess, can jog your brain a little bit about how crappy, it can make you feel. So we're talking about early maturity slash exposure to trauma. We're talking about unhealthy comparison, instant gratification, overstimulation, and then just literally just brain rot. So I guess that's the easiest one to start with. Um, yeah, get off your phone because it just hurts your head. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked at your phone and after being in your pitch black room for a while and your face is kind of hot and you just feel grubbish, kind of like a couch potato. So yeah, it's good to be connected with people and it's good to laugh and rest a little bit, but I always feel like crap when I'm just hanging out and just on my phone for way too long and rotting in bed. And it's got to be just linked with depression, just staring at screens and not getting enough sunlight. You know what I mean? Like, we got to touch grass, guys. We got to touch grass. So, I think that's something that I think everyone kind of realizes. The next thing, which is really big, is overstimulation. I feel like all of our dopamine receptors are kind of fried because we just want the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I guess this is the same as instant gratification. But yeah, I was having this conversation with a friend about realizing how crappy Instagram Reels and TikTok can be for you, because like never in anyone's lives before the past 20 years would you be able to want something like, I want the next reel. I want the next reel. I want the next reel, and just keep scrolling. I want the next TikTok. I want the next video. I want this piece of information now. I want this food delivered to me now. Like, it really messes with your head, and it can make you kind of forget that the beautiful things in life, like patience, silence, and nature, and not all this just nasty processed shit, is really what kind of happiness is. Like, you can't just keep feeding yourself this overstimulation. It's gonna drive you crazy. So I feel like I'm always anxious because of this overstimulation, because I feel like I always need something, and also just I'm always thinking. If that makes sense, I always want the next thing. I always want the next thing, and it kind of sucks sometimes when I'm like on a drive with my friends, or I'm enjoying like the outside nature, but I just feel like I need to scroll on TikTok or Instagram. Like, that sucks. Or like not being content with it. So yeah, like the overstimulation is really bad, and I think it's been normalized so much with TikTok and Instagram and social media. And yeah, I think people got to get off it. Like, one of my buddies one of my buddies was gaming on his computer, his desktop, and he was also scrolling on YouTube Shorts on his phone, and also watching like a lecture on his laptop. And like, that's not what humans are supposed to do. You know what I mean? I think everyone realizes that deep down, but it's just so hard to get out of that. Yeah, like I don't think we can blame anyone. This is kind of how our system and what our upbringing is like. For example, like, instead of buying a nanny or a babysitter, just there's so much technology, whether it's like iPads or just or games or TV shows that kids kind of grow up with. So you can't really, even though it's so incredibly toxic and nasty, you can't really blame much people, because that's kind of, everyone's going to give their kid, a phone, even though 15 years ago people would be like, that's insane, I'm not going to give my 6-year-old, 8-year-old a phone. Which I found out recently. People on the Today Show were like some social media or like doctor expert scientist, someone came up and was like talking about how kids should have their phone by 6th grade, and everyone was having like this serious conversation, debate over it. And I was like, I didn't even realize it was that normalized then, because it was insane 10 years ago, and it was even more insane 20 years ago. But everyone's just kind of grown up with it. Everyone's having access to everything all at once. And it's really scary. Even with pornography and how much of a drug that is, like, to be able to just access any like sexual desire that you want, like at the tip of your fingertips, it's really it's obviously gonna mess with the brain. Obvious, like all of the um even beyond all the sexual stuff that I'm not necessarily gonna get into this podcast. Just the idea that you can get anything you want like now, 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 now. And I feel bad that I just can't really find too much peace when I'm not doing anything. So yeah, ADHD and anxiety are definitely like inextricably linked with this overstimulation stuff. Kind of the concept of like phone induced ADHD. I know a lot of you guys have that. I definitely have that, and yeah, it's just really crappy. It has this stuff with instant gratification, feeling like you need everything now. Um, yeah, I feel like I'm more impatient, less happy because of it. Um, and yeah, I think that's like that's like even we're not even talking about like the content yet. And I just talked for 5 minutes about how social media is so crappy for you, and we're not even talking about the content, like the comparison content. Um, yeah, so the next thing, kind of in tune with the instant gratification, is seeing everyone's lives. And I saw this really cool quote where people are, when you have social media, you tend to demonize yourself and glorify other people, and you compare your lowest points in your process with other people's highlights. And because of that, you feel like you're doing something wrong always. And there's always this next thing to do, this next thing to do, next thing to do, next thing to do. I know a lot of people have felt it with the like watching the Olympics or like the European Championship soccer games, where you just see all these people being successful. And even at your age, I think, like I said, this is the first time where I feel like we've seen our age, where we're Gen Z, we're adults, and we're on the main stage with people we've looked up to our entire lives. So it's gonna make you feel like crap. And I think you guys need to realize, if you turn off your phone, if you just get off social media, then you just don't need to see it. Like, you don't need to see these things. You don't need to stay involved with like the Love Island drama that's going on. Like, it's just it's just reassuring to know that you can unplug and nothing will happen. So yeah, you don't need to keep seeing these people that are quote unquote doing this better than you, and you don't even know their story, whether they're completely unhappy because they have a really hard upbringing and they're in a toxic relationship, or they're in a really bad financial spot, even though it might not seem like it. Just social media is just, it's everyone's highlights. I thought it was cool in the beginning when it's like, oh, show these cool parts of your life and then we can see, but it just makes sense that naturally with human greed we've kind of become selfish with it, and it's become really toxic. But yeah, just with instant gratification, you kind of feel like you should have everything now. You should be doing these things now. And I think I've fallen really victim to it, especially in high school, where when I was practicing soccer a lot and obviously still working on school and working out and doing these diet stuff, I would always just see young people my age not and doing things with outcomes that I never necessarily saw. And it would just make me feel like crap, when in reality I wish I could just go back to that person and be like, you can just, if you just keep committing yourself to these things and stop looking at social media, you're gonna be you're gonna be good. Like, everything will pan itself out if you just stop listening to social media and psyching yourself out. I think that's the word I'm looking for, psyching myself out with all these shoot, psyching myself out with, sorry, I remember my friend had to call me. Psyching myself out because I just see social media kind of facilitating all these people quote unquote doing better than me. And I think another, okay, we're good. I think another really cool thing that I realized when it comes to, and I'm going to talk more about unhealthy comparison, and obviously how women more so compare their body styles and body types with these beauty standards. Um, I think to close out talking about the comparison stuff and instant gratification, I think something that really helped me was realizing like I'm never gonna meet these people that I so like desperately and painfully like, compare myself to, where they might as well be like fictional characters and like quote unquote superheroes. Like even if I meet them, cool, but the way I'm comparing myself to other people that I see online, like they could maybe be AI generated and I would never know. And then that just kind of I feel like you're relying too much on social media, on the truth and on comparison, that if they didn't exist, then would you feel better about yourself? If they didn't exist, would you still feel motivated to do that thing? Yes, then good for you. Keep working at it, but don't beat yourself up about it. And if not, if you wouldn't keep working at it, and if you wouldn't feel satisfied, if you would feel satisfied if that person didn't exist or was a fictional character like a superhero, then you probably got to do something. You got to probably switch something up. I don't know if that makes sense. I know I'm blabbling. Um, I know I'm blabbling, but it just it made sense to me. And like I said, this is my therapy again on getting off social media. So hopefully this is making at least some lick of sense. But yeah, so I'm taking a little break, but I don't know, just if I'm glorifying these random people around me that I see on social media that are doing the things I want to do, but at the highest scale. But I'm not gonna meet them, and they might as well just be like fictional like movie characters. But the fact that, but if I let that affect me, then it's just gonna go on for 60 years of me just making myself feel like shit, and they might as well just could have never existed, and I wouldn't even know. So I don't know if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, it's so toxic. Um, I mean, I don't think I need to run down the list of the unhealthy comparison. I don't think I need to mansplain to people why beauty standards has been so corrupt, especially in with females. I definitely don't want to downplay male body comparison, but personally for me, I always felt like the comparison was with like lifestyle and feeling like I'm not doing enough. Um, and because of that, because it's slightly different, almost like a niche version of comparison, I actually also felt like I didn't need to think that social media was toxic, because I thought like the idea of it was um, just comparing bodies. Like I never would see like a shredded man and be like, oh, I need to be like that. I'm glad I found that own security with myself, where I was like, I'm not gonna, I don't want to look like John Cena. Nothing on John Cena. I want to look like myself. If that makes sense. I want to be like my most beautiful, healthy, fit self. Sorry, my storage went out, but yeah, like I want to be my own healthy self. So because of that, I felt like I didn't need to worry about if social media was toxic, but in fact, it definitely is, and it definitely makes me feel like crap. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's only 4. It's 4%. So like I said, I don't need to mansplain how women feel, because obviously it's so obvious that people were born into literally just seeing beauty ads and glorifying just being skinny and being this, I guess, like this version of a princess that's gonna have this Prince Charming coming in, and finding love. And I don't know if you guys have heard of the Bechdel test. Um, But yeah, that's like a sociological or like psychological test about how women's lives revolve around men's, or something, about how all female characters in movies always have conversations about other men, which is so crappy, that people can't kind of live on their own kind of freely. But I guess what I'm getting at is talking about how women, yeah, they're just put into this box, um, like, and you're just conditioned that you have to be this certain person, and if you're not fit for like to be like a wife for someone else, then you're just demonized. If you're not fit to have children, then you're just made fun of, and we've seen that right now with Kamala Harris and JD Vance. So yeah, I mean, I don't need to get much into that because there's already enough information about it. Um, with talking about unhealthy comparison, and feeling like you're this terrible person because this person has this many likes and followers because of their body type looks like that. And yeah, I didn't even talk about that either. Just the validation with the likes, um, with the likes and followers. Like like you just have another thing to worry about, and I don't even know what to call that, like header, or that like list. I call that in the list of crappy things that social media causes. Maybe an overstimulation, but like, think about it. Social media is so crappy because if you have these group chats, if you have these followers, likes, worrying about if you're written by a man or a woman, all these Gen Z terms, worried about if you're baby girl, if you're manipulating, if you're gaslighting. I mean, I don't know about those versions, but I guess you just have so much more to worry about, and I just really urge you guys to like remember, if all of your if you didn't have Snapchat group chats in middle school to worry about if you're being invited to this, if you're popular, like, think about how much easier life would be. Just social media adds more things that cause problems. Like, if you're this number one person on Snapchat, or if this streak got lost, like, it just creates more problems. There's just more things to worry about, and that's terrible. That's so terrible. Um. So yeah, just I really implore you guys to realize, if you turn off your phone and you get away from things, um, that like you'll realize there's a lot of crap that you don't need, that they don't need to worry about, that people without internet access haven't thought about at all. And this kind of angst, this ADHD, this depression, anxiety, it kind of makes sense that people in more developing countries, kind of, especially the U.S., has such high suicide rates, because it's not, other things like poor drinking water, or inadequate health access. I mean, I guess that is that is definitely one of the bigger problems of the U.S. But it's just kind of, we kill our own selves, with this greed, with this, I guess, consumerism that's kind of suffocated all of us. I don't know, man. This could be a pretty crappy episode, but I'm glad I'm getting my thoughts out, because I was feeling pretty anxious today. The final thing I want to talk about was early maturity and exposure to trauma. When you're a kid, you're supposed to be a kid, and I'm still a kid, so I don't even know why the hell I'm talking about this. You kind of lose your inner child when you kind of get exposed to all these anxieties and the stresses, where things on social media are so highlighted, like these tragedies going on in our world, where yes, they're incredibly tragic. There's so many atrocities going on. There's so many inequities, but some of these children that have phones that are like 5 or 10 or 12, they didn't even have a chance to grow up, and they're just stressing about these things. I think a good example is climate change. One of my friends told me that she got so in the dumps because she was getting so hopeless about realizing like how many years how many years we have left because of climate change. And I'm like, you didn't need to think about that when you were in 6th grade. Um so it's you just grow up faster, and it's so traumatic. It's so like we don't need all those things right now. Some really powerful quote that I was talking to one of my really good friends, Andy, shout out Andy, is we were saying how it was this video um of this older guy talking to his younger self, and he was trying to justify all like the pressures he put on himself, and it was like, and maybe they were like social media related and social media induced, but it was like he was talking to his younger self. He was a kid, and he was like, yeah, but it made you stronger. Whatever you went through made you stronger. And then the kid goes, I didn't want asked to be stronger. I just wanted to be a kid. And I thought that was really powerful, in the sense that like you have so much time to kind of just enjoy the things in life, but we kind of put so many feet forward and trying to grow up. And and yeah, we kind of forget that we have to kind of develop and be literally just be a child. So yeah, I think there's atrocities always happening, but just the way that social media can highlight, and it just the unhealthy way that it changes and like twists the news a lot too. That can be toxic. But just, I don't know, just the idea that a young kid is exposed to so much, I guess, death and just serious topics, it grows you up. But like, I think you have all the time to grow up. And I wish I heard that too, and trying to feel like I need to do all these things. I had this burden on me. So I think early maturity definitely comes with feeling like you have all these expectations and burdens. I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, and all these things are just created by social media, where we're forgetting, if the phone just goes away, if our phone just gets lost in the ocean and Instagram crashes down, and the Instagram app all of a sudden goes down, like, who are you then? Would you be would you be a much happier person? Would you need to find your identity? I don't know. It's you're your own person. So I don't know, man. Just get off social media. This might have been the most random out there podcast, but I I don't know. At least it helped me a little bit. Um, cause yeah, I've been staring at my phone all day. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna eat dinner tonight, doing nothing. I'm gonna go poop tonight without looking at my phone, which has been honestly a big challenge, low key. And shout out Sam, one of my best friends. We were trying to keep each other accountable, but this week I kind of tripped up a little bit. Um, Maybe it's because I re-downloaded Instagram on my phone. That's definitely a big problem. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna mark myself to it. Maybe I feel better that I'm doing this podcast, because I'm really it really kind of is my therapy. So I'm glad to get this episode out and feel, at least feel productive. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I appreciate you guys listening. I don't know. I don't think anyone's listening, but that's fine. I'm getting my thoughts out. And hopefully people will find it, be attracted to it, and just gravitate towards it. I think another thing that's kind of helping motivate me to keep making these podcasts is, if I'm not consistent with this, then no one's gonna listen to it. Like if someone posts a podcast once a month, there, and it's not like or it's just kind of all over the place, then I kind of forget about it. But if I can roll into this semester with everyone knows that I have this podcast every Sunday talking about mental health, then I think it'll catch more viewers, and it'll, because people know it's a thing, if that makes sense. Maybe people just think right now this is just an interview that just maybe people should check out. But then again, I don't need to worry about the viewers. I don't give a fuck. Everything's fine. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. I got to call my friend, make sure he's good. But yeah, get off your phone today. Peace.